everybody. Welcome to the Dreamer's Edge podcast. We are your hosts.
I'm Nicolas. I write video games articles for thedreamersedge.com.
And I am Dimitri, webmaster of thedreamersedge.com and movie critic and general writer about anything. So this week we're going to do something special. We do this every 2 years, which is to say that we did it 2 years ago.
Indeed.
And that's what we're going to go through the television schedule, let you guys know what's upcoming this fall and winter on TV in the five major networks in America. We're Canadians, but we're not going to talk about TV networks in Canada for the simple reason that what it is essentially 5 or 6 new Canadian shows and then American shows being placed around that schedule. It's not really helpful to talk about it that way.
The only difference is we get Canadian commercials instead of American ones.
I know, which is very frustrating when you're watching the Super Bowl.
Yes. Damn you, Global.
I know. And they put the global sign on the corner right over the Fox sign too. It's like, who are you fooling?
I know, it's like when they had the Simpsons opening with the clouds, and they had like a little on global below it. You're like, no, Simpsons were not made by Global. Stop stop kidding yourself.
Oh, I remember when Global used to do that for every show. That was so pathetic.
Yeah.
They stopped doing that, thankfully.
Yeah, thank you.
So, I mean, we're going to do it day by day, essentially. So today we're doing Monday.
Yeah.
But first we're going to start with something we like to call show and tell, where we recommend something. And, of course, this being our TV week, we're going to recommend some TV shows for you to catch up on or just catch.
Yeah. Mine is a canceled TV show. It was very good. It lasted half a season. But you can find more episodes on DVD. Firefly, written by Josh Whedon. It's pretty much people on spaceship. They're trying to survive. They're kind of criminals. They're
cowboys in space post Civil War mercenaries.
Exactly. Yes. So it's set in the future, but it's not like phasers and stuff like that. They still use normal guns. Their ship are rickety. They're not like the whole Star Trek things. You barely. How do these things work? They're so rickety. It's really good, and I really enjoyed it. The writing is great, and Nate Fillion is awesome as usual.
No, it's a good show. I agree. I think it's Joss Whedon's best, to be honest.
Yeah, it is.
My recommendation is also in the same vein. Also cowboys.
Awesome.
But cowboys in the modern times, not in the future. I'm recommending Justified with Timothy Olyphant. It's an HBO series about a U.S. Marshal in Kentucky who's essentially living by the laws of the Old West.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. What's great is that characters are super developed. The second season has as the main bad guy a woman who inherited a crime empire from her husband but never wanted it. So essentially she's Michael Corleone, but except a female white trash version of that.
I see.
And all her sons are Fredo. It's based on Elmore Leonard's novel Fire in the Hole, if anyone's familiar with that.
Cool.
Used to be a Bell's Bondsman.
All those Bell's Bondsmen, they all have like interesting jobs afterwards. It's insane.
Anywho, let's talk about the Monday schedule.
All right.
We're going to go network by network, and we're going to start with ABC at 8 o'clock all the way to 10 with Dancing with the Stars, reaching its 13th season.
I can't believe that.
13 seasons of mediocre dancing, I know.
And mediocre stars.
Yeah, I know. Dancing with the Stars is sort of like there's the word fading missing in there.
Indeed. It was funny. The first few seasons, they had like horrible like B-lister stars, or even C or D-lister stars. But then you had actually like certain stars that still had shows on TV that, hey, I want to dance. So, the third or fourth season, they had actually okay stars. And then all the stars that wanted to dance, they're done. So now you go back to like D-listers. It was pretty funny.
For a while, they also had, because it's, a celebrity paired with an actual dancer. And the actual dancer was often So You Think You Can Dance alumni. But now So You Think You Can Dance, I thought, after getting their teeth kicked in a year or two ago when they tried to move to the fall and Dancing with the Stars, just went like, nope, we're keeping those ratings. Goodbye, good luck, go back to the summer.
Wow.
Which is too bad because I like that show a lot more than Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
But I think they got a little bit pissed because they went like, well, you know what? We're going to keep our alumni now because we're bringing them back for partners to our dancers in the new competitions. So now Dancing with the Star has sort of lost access to these dancers.
Wow. So no dancers, no celebrities. Let's move on.
So at 10 o'clock, they follow it up with Castle.
Castle, fourth season.
Yes, fourth season.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I think the show has dropped in quality. First and second season were great. The third season not so much. And you could pretty much draw a graph of the quality declining episode per episode in season 3. But I'm interested to see where it goes and if it picks back up. They changed the status quo a little bit, so I'm gonna see where it goes.
Yeah, new commissioner.
Yeah.
And the daughter is off to college, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, or she's supposed to graduate like in December to go to college, like for spring, but we'll see what happens with that.
I mostly watch the show for his relationship with his daughter. I think that's my favorite part of the show.
Yeah,
because I mean, yeah, the Beckett Castle dynamic is fun, but it's something you can find in a lot of other shows. Whereas
that's true.
That was something peculiar.
You can't find Nate Fillion though in other shows, but I think they're stifling him a little bit. They're not allowing him to be Nate anymore.
Well, the Marvel Comics is about to release Castle, the comic book.
Really?
Yeah, well, you know, because they're bought by Disney, and Castle is on ABC, which is also owned by Buena Vista, which is Disney. And they had a sampler on it of it, and I read it, and it's like it was terrible.
Wow.
And it's like you're reading Richard Castle, and you're reading his lines, and you're like, yeah, if it doesn't come out of Nathan Fillion's mouth, it's just not working.
Wow, I would not want to read that.
All right, moving on then.
Yeah.
On CBS at 8 to 8:30, you got How I Met Your Mother season 7.
Looking forward to that.
Me too.
I did not watch the first few seasons, but I was able to catch up on repeats. Mm-hmm. It's good. You can pretty much hit whenever in the series and start watching. So I would suggest just start watching it if you haven't. It's a great show.
Yeah, that's a really good point you bring up about How I Met Your Mother is that you can really start from any episode and just get involved. I mean, they do have running gags or gags that are set up in previous episodes, but they're very good about reintroducing those gags for people who haven't been there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know where the goat comes from, it doesn't matter when they're going to reintroduce the goat. They're going to set it up so that it works if you haven't heard of it before.
Yeah.
I will say about that show, they started focusing a little bit more on Barney.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is that they're doing it without overexposing him.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it later in the week, but the Big Bang Theory did that mistake where they knew where the money was, which was Sheldon.
Yeah.
And they put more focus on it, which is natural, but like way overdid it.
It was like the Sheldon show at one point. You know, the other nerds were not even in it anymore. It's pretty much Sheldon acting like Sheldon. It's like, okay, that's too much, Sheldon.
Yeah. Whereas here, Barney has started taking the subplots of all the B plots, but never the full episode. So there's always that variety.
Yeah.
And it's followed at 8:30 with Two Broke Girls, another CBS sitcom. This is a new one with Kat Dennings. Sorry.
Kat Dennings.
And she plays a waitress who meets another girl who ends up a waitress as well, who's a trust fund girl and therefore a little bit sheltered. And she's the no nonsense, super sarcastic girl, and they try to start a business together.
That's gonna be interesting. Kat Dennings is funny.
Kat Dennings is freaking hilarious and pretty.
Yeah.
And the pedigree also involves one of the producers of Sex and the City, and they're sort of selling it on that a lot.
Okay.
But I don't know. Sex and the City was funny because it was edgy. It sort of went to places that no one dared to go.
Okay.
For women especially. Say what you will about state of feminism, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But you can't deny the fact that the standards are not the same. Guys can be raunchy and girls could not. And Sex and the City was one of the first shows that went like, we're going to have raunchy women and you're going to laugh at that. And they did it in a way that women really responded to.
Yeah.
That's not going to fly on a CBS sitcom with a laugh track and all of that. Like, I don't see how that you can possibly pull that off. As a result, I'm not entirely sure that, if we're not using a creator that's just going to feel stifled and not going to be able to really do anything with it.
That's true, or it might be good the first few episodes, and then a few complaints come on in, and then it just stops and it changes completely.
Yeah. Anyways, it's followed up at 9 with this ninth season of Two and a Half Men.
Charlie Sheen is gone because he's crazy now, and he's replaced with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah. How are they going to do that? Like, how are they going to justify that?
That's a rumor I've read.
Mm-hmm.
From the web, but the first episode apparently has a lot of guest stars, a lot of old loves of Charlie and stuff like that. They're coming back. So the speculation is that Charlie is dead, and it's his funeral, and that's why you have all those old stars coming back. And somehow Ashton Kutcher gets the house.
Yeah, I don't know about this.
This is again speculation. I hope that people listening to this podcast after the premiere has happened, there's like, wow, this guy's insane.
Well, it's an insane rumor. I'll say that.
Yeah,
and I am skeptical about it. I should say it.
Yeah,
because there's a certain these rumors sort of start off with on the internet very easily because you'll have like a blogger who's going like, oh, they're probably going to do that, but what he really means to say is that I've written this fan fiction where we did that.
No, I think I heard that on Entertainment Tonight though.
Getting back to that, if that is what they do though, it's like death and sitcoms do not go together. It's I remember what was it, 8 Simple Rules to Dating My Daughter.
Yeah, my teenage daughter.
Yeah, which eventually got shortened to 8 Simple Rules when somebody realized that, hey, that doesn't fit on anybody's TiVo.
Yeah.
But, we're obviously, I was going to call him Jack Tripper, but...
the father dies in real life.
Yeah, the actor who plays the father dies.
Yeah. And they had a contract, so they had to keep going. So they did put in a funeral episode, and then they had people dealing with his death, and but...
And we all acknowledged for at least the rest of the season, the show was going to be limping and it was going to be sad because it is a sad death because he was such a...
Yeah, John Ritter.
John Ritter, exactly. Thank you. John Ritter was such a warm personality, even off camera, that it was going to be sad.
Yeah.
And they acknowledged that, and they tried to deal with, well, let's just have this family deal with this drama so we can come back next year and try to slowly bring the humor again.
Yeah.
And like you said, they brought in the grandfather and the uncle, I think.
Yeah.
And it was still sad.
Yeah, it was still the specter of the guy being dead, and it's just... It really lost its funny.
Yeah, and I think the writers did it as well as they could.
Yeah.
And the actors are not to blame. They were all very good.
Yeah.
It's just, look, somebody died.
But, I don't know, it could work for Two and a Half Men.
Because Charlie Sheen's not dead for real?
He's not dead for real, and he just went insane. So, so people just find the concept funny. Oh, he's insane now, so the producer's getting his revenge by killing him in the show. And that might kind of work.
Maybe.
I didn't watch Two and a Half Men for the brother or the kid, who's not a half man anymore. That kid's huge.
I know. they have that, the beginning where they go like, men,
Yeah.
and like at the end the kid like just grows and it's like, oh my god, he's gonna eat Charlie Sheen.
That could be how they work it in. Hey, where's Uncle Charlie? Oh, I ate him. Well,
I could see that happening actually.
Yeah. So going back to the sitcom Three Men, I'm not watching him for his mooch of a brother, and I'm watching it for a kid. I was watching for Charlie, like reacting to them. Charlie was the normal guy in that relationship.
Well, he is dysfunctional in terms of like he's a perpetual bachelor.
Yeah,
issues.
But he was the more normal guy of them all, and seeing them react, that was funny.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Ashton can pull it off. I mean, he's very funny. I loved him in that '70s show, but.
One thing is he doesn't do normal.
He does not do normal.
One thing also is that Charlie Sheen was very, very, very good. I mean, it's not my type of show. I didn't watch. Like, I caught a few episodes while doing something else because I was too lazy to change the channel. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But I remember him after he replaced Michael J. Fox in Spin City.
Yeah.
Like, this is another show that suffered from a little bit of real life sadness.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox had to leave, and it's sort of like, how do you make that funny? And like they brought in Charlie Sheen, and like it worked.
Yeah,
it was funny. He's very good at this, and I don't think Ashton Kutcher is nearly as good as he is. Not that he's bad; it's just that Charlie Sheen was better.
Yeah. So that's a we'll see what happens situation.
Yeah, it should be interesting for fans of the show. It's not enough. The change is not enough for me to make me watch, even out of curiosity. Though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna not watch at all. It's just I don't know. It's just gonna feel weird and different, and
Yeah.
that scares me.
So at 9:30 we got Mike and Molly following this, entering its sophomore season. Mike and Molly about a cop who wants to be really thin and a teacher who likes her curves and wackiness and shoes.
Yeah, that sounds like a horrible, horrible premise for a sitcom. I am fine with a bunch of odd couples pairing, but that one is just like that's ridiculous.
Moving on at 10 o'clock, still on CBS, we have Hawaii 5-0.
Yeah, cop show, but the special thing about that cop show is it's in Hawaii.
Well, that and they're an elite special cop force that doesn't really follow the
They're
top rules.
all elite special cop forces.
It's also a remake of the 70s show.
Yeah, it's a remake of 70 shows, and it's in Hawaii. So once the Hawaii wow factor is away after a few episodes, there's not much left really.
Well, there's the fact that the lead is like ridiculously good looking.
Yeah.
And I think that's the selling point because it is currently, taking the CSI Miami spot.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it was a great replacement for it on that spot because it's just like it's the same thing's gonna happen. Like just mothers
Yeah.
are just gonna go like, oh, I'm just gonna sit there and drool at that man until 11 o'clock.
Who's the lead, Skate Ulrich?
I don't remember his name. He used to be on Moonlight. And
Okay.
Moonlight being a vampire show that was entirely based on the fact that he's apparently hot.
I see.
So moving on to NBC at 8 until 10, they have the sing-off.
Better known to Dimitri as the sign off.
Yeah, I know. I've read this like 3 times. You guys can't hear that because it was before we recorded this episode, but I kept reading it as a sign-off every time.
This 2 hours of sign off. What is that?
I know. It's like, how long does it take to just fill in paperwork?
But yeah, it's a talent show again. Another one. Pass.
It's a singing one, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have The Voice, we have X Factor, we have American Idol.
I think the sing off has no music. I think it's just them singing no music.
Acapella?
Acapella, yeah.
Okay.
And you can have groups of people singing. I think. And if I'm mistaken, it's because I don't care. Enough's enough.
I don't know what NBC is thinking. I mean, like, it's been well advertised that Simon Cowell is going to launch the X Factor on Fox. And, there's no bigger juggernaut in reality TV than freaking American Idol when he was on it.
Yeah.
So, you really think you're going to compete with the sing-off? Like, really?
Yeah, it's a different time, so I mean, people might watch that and then go watch the X Factor the next day.
At 10, the Playboy Club.
So the drama of being a Playboy bunny in the 60s.
Yes.
Surprisingly, I'm a guy, still don't care.
I think it'd be interesting. It depends how they do it, obviously.
Yeah.
I think there's already some controversy about it already, obviously, because, it's Playboy. Say what you will about Hugh Hefner. He's not a simple figure, but unfortunately people will want to do that because, like, on the one hand, he did some tremendous things for free speech and civil rights.
Yeah,
and no one can take that away from him, no matter how much you want to revise history. It's just like these are historical moments he was part of, and I don't mean through Playboy magazine. I mean like through other things he's done.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like, he did make the objectification of women as common as McDonald's. Which I can, that's probably not a step forward in our culture.
But then again, there was a market for it. It's not like he showed up with Playboy and like, this is what women should be. He showed up with Playboy and people bought it because they wanted to see naked women.
Well, and the picture of naked women is the objectification I'm referring to, not anything else. But, and he did tap that market, but what he did is he mainstreamed it.
If you have a problem with Playboy women, don't buy it. I know it's the worst argument ever.
I know.
I'm gonna go there.
But that conflict, exactly, that's what makes it controversial. That's what makes people go like, it shouldn't be seen. And it's like, but what if the show deals specifically with that? That should be really interesting. How women were in the 60s and how that movement came to be. That could be really interesting.
Okay.
Plus, it has Amber Heard in it, and she's really good. She was in The Ward this summer, and terrific in it. And yeah, she's obviously playing a Playboy bunny because
Yeah.
she's ridiculously hot.
Would she look good in the bunny suit? Is my
She
question.
looks ridiculously hot. This woman's gorgeous,
Okay.
but she's also a really good actress.
But I mean, gorgeous women don't necessarily look good in the bunny suit. So I mean,
But she wasn't Drive Angry as well. She played the female lead in that, and what made me laugh about that movie is that she's wearing Daisy Dukes in all of that movie,
Yeah.
and she doesn't have really much of a butt. Like,
Okay.
so she couldn't quite fill them, and it looked a little bit ridiculous.
Say there you go. We'll have to see if she looks good before we decide if we watch it or not.
But it all depends on how they treat it, and
Yeah.
but it is, I think, a delicate thing, and I do fear that it's one of those shows where NBC was feeling very brave about putting it on, and as soon as they're gonna get the really angry letters when it does air, they're gonna back off,
Yeah.
and we're gonna lose a show that may or may not be good.
I don't know, shows like that maybe should be on HBO, where there is no filtering process.
True.
But I guess if you want to be on one of the 5 main networks, you can't have that. It's a risk. Do you want your show to be seen by more people, or you want to really have the show that you want on one of those lesser seen networks?
Although if it was on HBO, then it would have nudity up the wazoo, which I don't know if that's what they would have wanted.
I don't see much nudity in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I don't want to see it.
No, but it's not the type of show that lends itself to
Yeah,
it. Though.
yeah.
And just so we're clear, I don't intentionally imply that I don't want to see Amber Heard naked, because that's not at all what I'm saying.
All right, now that your opinion is well known, let's move on to Fox.
Fox at 8 o'clock. She is a fox. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Good segue.
8 o'clock on Fox. We start off with Terra Nova. This show is interesting because it's been pushed back twice. It was supposed to come out last year, then was pushed to I think, summer or spring, and then it got pushed again to this fall.
Terra Nova sounds like Earth 2 somehow.
Well, it's actually close to that. It's
Really?
it's people who the future's doom and gloom, so they go back into the past to find a way to live and live amongst the dinosaurs.
Why not send them to the past a little later? It's hard to create a colony when you have dinosaur-sized animals roaming freely all around.
Hey, no, nobody said it was going to be easy. It's a last resort,
I guess.
and also, drama comes from conflict.
Yeah, conflict with dinosaur. That's great drama.
Hey, man, the Flintstones could have gone into all kinds of places if it were on HBO.
Of course, of course.
But my fear about that show is less the nitty gritty of the logistics of the premise. It's sort of like, look, man, it's people living with dinosaurs. Okay, stop asking questions.
All right.
And I'm like, I don't know that that's exciting. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, they had the Lost World, and that failed.
yeah. I do find it fascinating that we've reached a point where, back when I was a kid and they released Jurassic Park, everybody goes like, oh my god, there's dinosaurs next to human on the screen. It's amazing. You gotta see this. And it's like, but the plot is super boring. But dinosaurs!
I know.
The thing that's interesting to me is that we've reached a point, like, in my lifetime where things that blew our minds in the theaters are like, it's gonna be on TV every week now.
Yeah, that's why I don't buy into the whole special effects hype movies. Like Avatar, it's going to be so boring in 5 years.
I was bored when I watched it.
Yeah, I know.
But then again, I felt the same way about Jurassic Park, so...
Yeah, I was excited Jurassic Park about special effects, but then you rewatch it. I dare you guys, rewatch Jurassic Park now, and you're going to be bored to tears.
I watched Jurassic Park 3 times.
Really?
Never finished it. I fell asleep all 3 times.
Wow.
It's one of those premises where it could be dangerously boring and cheesy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's potential for some stories if they make it that the colony have internal political conflicts and all of that, sort
Yeah.
of like a la Battlestar Galactica and stuff like that. That could be interesting.
Okay, the original Battlestar Galactica, not the new one. Okay.
No, I meant the new one.
Oh God, I hate you.
What?
That show was so horrible.
I didn't really watch it. I'm just saying it had that type of conflict.
Yeah. Conflicts plus whiny characters with me is a complete turnoff. If the characters are interesting and fun, conflict's okay. But like Battlestar Galactica, there was conflict and the characters were just whiny, annoying B-word. That turned me off completely off of the show.
I'm trying to think if you like political thrillers.
I don't know.
Can
Like
you
you
think of one?
need to give me an example. I did not watch The West Wing or stuff like that, so no, I guess not.
Because that might be the problem. Like I can't judge because I haven't
Yeah.
seen Battlestar Galactica. I've worked on the DVDs for it and therefore have seen a couple of episodes of it, but it was out of order and in the middle of it, and since it involved a lot of freaking transcribing of a show that will not shut up.
Yeah.
It's not like I got to enjoy it, so I can't judge it. But I did get a sense of it. It was very politically oriented, and I wonder.
Maybe,
If that's an
yeah.
issue.
But yeah, that's not what I was looking for in the sci-fi thing, so maybe that's why I didn't like it. But well, we'll see. The main thing was I could not stand the characters, and the conflict just exacerbated the characters that I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
So if that happens there, I might not, enjoy.
Yeah, but I do think you need infighting because if it's just going to be man versus dinosaurs, I'm going to tune out. So yeah, moving on after Terra Nova, we got House at 9 o'clock, starting its 8th season.
Yes, without Cuddy.
Without Cuddy, she's leaving. Bye bye, Cuddy.
Yeah, she was not given enough money, so
Well, yeah, they didn't manage to negotiate her return, though. In those cases, when after 8th season,
yeah.
sometimes I wonder how much money would have been enough for her to come back if she's just not sick and tired of it.
That's a good point. And according to previews I saw, House is in jail.
Well, yeah, he did ram his car into a house.
Yes. I hope that's not the whole season.
It never is. The premiere of House, the season premieres of House always have this weird offshoot episode where he's in a weird situation and then he gets out and he slowly goes back to his status quo. That's been the
yeah.
formula for almost 4 years now.
Yeah, but the way that, Cuddy is not there, because Cuddy's not, the actress is not returning, and now you see House in jail, and it kind of makes you think, though, how are you getting rid of Cuddy and still having a house, and him not being at the hospital and being in jail might be a way of doing it, which would be weird.
I just don't see that as even a possibility.
I see it. There's a chance.
I think you're crazy.
No.
I think you've turned this podcast into complete irrelevance with your crazy fan fiction. That's what I think.
It's not. I don't write fan fiction. I hate that.
Because you'll notice that they didn't add the word jail next to his name. It was like, it's not jailhouse, you know?
Oh, that'd be bad. But yeah, according to previews, House is in jail for the beginning episodes at least. Probably gonna skip those. I hate jail. I don't find anything fascinating about jail. I don't see what people keep making shows about jail at school.
You're so full of like really weird, like really hard edge principles.
Yeah.
Jail's bad. Whining people bad.
Yeah, jail. I've never seen anything about jail that was like super interesting.
Jailbreak movies are super fun.
No, because they're criminals. I don't root for criminals.
Well, sometimes they're innocent criminals.
Breaking out of jail makes them a criminal. Because that's an offense.
Like that's always been an interesting dilemma for me. Like, can you be convicted of a crime that you've committed only because you've been wrongfully committed of another crime?
Yes, you can. Because Martha Stewart, she was convicted of they wanted to convict her about insider trading.
Yeah.
She lied to defend herself. They could not convict her on insider trading, so she was innocent of that. But they got her on perjury when she lied to defend herself.
That's not the same thing because she was accused.
Yeah.
Of you, if you do something wrong to defend yourself when you're being accused, yeah, they can prosecute you for that. But can they prosecute you for a crime that the only reason you've committed is because the government or the judicial system, I should say, put you in a situation where you had to commit a crime to survive or whatever?
I guess.
And you wouldn't have been in that situation if it weren't for a clerical error.
Yeah.
Or judicial error. So off topic. So House.
But still interesting. But yeah, House, because he did kind of, reckless endangerment at the end of the season. So I'm wondering how long the jail thing is going to last.
Especially since they make a point of sort of emphasizing the fact that the daughter could have just walked into the room at that exact moment.
I know they never made that point. She's having dinner.
Because Cuddy sort of mentions it after the fact.
Yeah.
And it is a really valid point.
I guess. I still felt good for House when he did that.
Well, the thing is, like what he's feeling, the anger and the betrayal he's feeling over this, is completely legitimate. They set it up in a way where like Cuddy was coming off she's wrong.
Yeah.
And she's not treating him right. But of course, his reaction to it is completely off the wall.
I don't know. It felt good to see him do that.
Before Cuddy even brought it up, I was afraid for the kid. Just like right away.
Yeah.
And that's because I've been around kids a little bit more, because I've reached that stage in my life when that happens. And
Yeah.
and it's you sort of just get used to thinking about that first, and that sort of terrified me when I saw that. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Didn't think of the kid. I assumed she was in school or something.
No. It shows at the kitchen table. He went into the living room, so it's not the same room. But imagine if she had gone to get her toy in the living room at that exact moment,
Wow. I didn't notice the kid though, but yeah, okay. Still felt good. I don't care.
But they set it up that his emotional state is completely understandable. His actions are not, but his emotional state is. And I think that's where good writing comes in, where the thing becomes a little bit more complex. It's not right and wrong.
Exactly.
I'm much more concerned about the fact that Cuddy's gone, because they've made Cuddy so central to his life in the later seasons.
Yeah.
That I don't know how they're going to bounce back from that.
They might need another. I don't know how they can do like Cuddy 2 or a new administrator that's kind of like her but not, because I don't know.
Hopefully not, because it's just going to come off like Cuddy 2 and it's going to annoy us.
Yeah.
And we don't want the usual Fox trope of like the hard ass administrator who's always wrong because he's hard ass. Like we don't want that.
They did that in the first season, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. When they did that in the first season, it was so hilarious because there was 3 shows on Fox, and I'm sure it's a complete casting coincidence. Like I'm not trying to read into it, but it made it hilarious just the same. 3 shows where an outside administrator would come in and make life miserable for the hero and then turn out to be wrong.
Yeah.
And the 3 administrators were black.
Oh, wow.
It was hilarious. It's like, it looks like Fox is trying to tell us that black men should not be in charge. Like, it was really funny. And I'm sure it's completely accidental, but it was freaking hilarious.
Yeah. If that had happened 2 years ago, it would not have been accidental. But,
Indeed.
8 years ago, I can see that being an accident.
Oh, yeah. All right, moving on to the CW, our last channel that we're going to check today. And at 8 o'clock, we've got Gossip Girl entering its 5th season. I can't believe it's already been 5 seasons.
Besides a few clips on the soup, I have no clue what that show's about.
It's about a bunch of privileged rich kids. Yeah, they're rich, therefore privileged. I'm not sure why I said both. And one of them has a sort of a gossip blog about their lives, and then it's a soap opera about that group.
Wow, it's so something I would not want to watch.
Yeah, I caught the first episode just based on the pedigree and, the actors. You got some good actors in there.
Okay.
And it came off like an adult trying to speak teen speak,
Yeah.
And that's really aggravating. Like,
well, yes, it is.
Yeah. It's one of those things, like, I don't know why adults and parents do it, because it is as annoying to their children as it is to everyone else around.
Yeah. Kids' problems, don't care. Half the time, they're not even real problems.
Kids' sitcoms, I can stand. Kids having adventures, I think is cute. But like, kids' soap operas, I just completely disconnect.
Yeah.
I think it's because, since they're geared at a teenage audience, it's always like, your problems matter and they're big. And, of course, one of the things you realize when you grow older is like that they're not.
Yeah.
And I understand that at that age you don't feel that way, and I respect that, but you also have to understand that from my point of view.
To me, a kid like crying that he's not popular, I'm like, so what?
I understand that he'd be sad about it.
Yeah.
I understand that he'd be upset about it, and I'm willing to watch a movie or a show about the fact that upsets him. But I'm not willing to watch a movie or a show about the fact that it truly is dramatic. Like, there's a difference.
I get that.
Plus the blogger aspect of it.
You love bloggers.
It's a weird position when you're a writer in a professional field and you also are involved in blogging.
Yeah. Because
they're actually 2 different phenomenons. You don't approach them the same way at all.
Okay.
And you really shouldn't.
Yeah.
Those who are familiar with the various associations that the Rumors Edge has had know that I've had a chance to work with great bloggers, but and I don't mean that in any way to be disrespectful, but they're not writers the same way that when I blog, I'm not functioning as a writer.
Okay.
They're completely different concerns. And it reminds me of this great line in the movie that came out recently, Contagion.
Yeah.
There's a great line where there's a guy who's trying to get into the hospital, and another man won't let him, and goes like, no, you're not a doctor, you're not the press, you can't go in.
Yeah.
And then the other guy is like, well, I am the press, I'm a blogger. Is like, no, blogging is not writing. Blogging is graffiti with punctuation.
Oh, wow.
And I laughed my head off. I thought that was freaking hilarious, you know? Because you sort of see that difference in the sense that when you're writing, you in a professional milieu, you sort of have to look at the audience, sort of target it, research it, and you got an editor looking at you. When you're blogging, you're sort of taking control of all of that yourself, and even your audience. Like, the way blogging works is you write. The audience finds you.
Yeah, if they like you, they'll read you. If they don't, it's like, forget that.
Exactly. So when he says it's like graffiti with punctuation, there is that phenomenon of like, it's there and people can find it.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you write, you got to get the people. You got to look for them. If you're not, then you're not doing your job. You know?
Okay.
So the glorification of the blogger as the new age journalist, which Gossip Girl sort of tapped on, I sort of never really get into that because I don't really buy into it. As somebody who does both and has respect for both things, I just don't think they're the same.
Okay. It's interesting.
All right, after Gossip Girl, you got Heart of Dixie at 9 o'clock. That's a show with Rachel Bilson, who plays some New York doctor who's used to the fast life and goes to, Dixie, obviously.
Yeah.
And her name is Heart. And
wow.
And, you know,
they thought a long time to come up with the title or just the name of the character.
I know. Well, it plays into one of your pet peeves, isn't it? The artificial pun, where it's a pun, but it's an effortless pun because you decide what words are used.
Exactly. It's like when people in movies have funny names. Well, it's not funny. You wrote that name. It's not funny at all. If I meet somebody in real life and it happens that his name, he got married and he changed his name and now his name is really funny, that's funny. But just a fake name that's funny, it's like that's not funny. It's ridiculous. That's lame.
My problem with that is that I'm afraid that it might go into the southern countryside is quirky and magical, you know,
and backwards
and not at all connected to the fast-paced, soul-killing values of the city. It's sort of a modern take on the noble savage story, which I hate. For those of you who don't know, the noble savage story is like Avatar. Okay, you got this guy. He comes from the civilized world. He meets some savages, gets adopted by the savages. By virtue of being a white guy, becomes the best at being at that culture savage, and then finds nobility in it. You know, like Last Samurai does that as well.
Last Samurai, don't. Oh God.
But Last Samurai does exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And I hate those stories because A, they're always the same freaking thing, but more importantly, they're so condescending towards whatever culture is being called savage. It was like, oh, you're full of beautiful qualities and blah blah, but I'm still calling you a savage. And as a civilized person, if I embrace your culture, I'll still be the best at it because you are inferior beings.
Yeah.
And I fear the Heart of Dixie might be doing the same thing, but about Southern culture.
The first episodes, she goes to get the practice from her father, and his father has a partner, and the partner will not work with a woman because down south we don't respect women.
Yeah, there you go.
And she's like, okay, you're starting very well.
It's so condescending.
Oh wow, the south! You guys warm yourself with stoves. You don't have electricity. Look at these candles.
All right, moving on then, or rather concluding. If you guys have any questions, comments, write us. Post a comment at thedreamersedge.com or mail us at mail@thedreamersedge.com. We're also on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, and we'll see you very soon as we talk about the Tuesday grid.
Indeed.
Bye.
Goodbye. Awesome as usual.
No, it's a good show, I agree. I think it's Joss Whedon's best, to be honest.
Yeah, it is.
American Invasion is also in the same vein, also cowboys.
Awesome.
But cowboys in the modern times, not in the future. I'm recommending Justified with Timothy Oliphant. It's an HBO series about a U.S. Marshal in Kentucky who's essentially living by the laws of the Old West.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. What's great is that characters are super developed. The second season has as the main bad guy a woman who inherited a crime empire from her husband but never wanted it. So essentially, she's Michael Corleone, but except a female white trash version of that.
I see.
And all her sons are Fredo. It's based on Elmore Leonard's novel Fire. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dreamer's Edge podcast. We are your hosts.
I'm Nicolas. I write video games articles for thedreamersedge.com.
And I am Dimitri, webmaster of thedreamersedge.com and movie critic and general writer about anything. So this week we're going to do something special. We do this every 2 years, which is to say that we did it 2 years ago.
Indeed.
And that's we're going to go through the television schedule, let you guys know what's upcoming this fall and winter on TV in the five major networks in America. We're Canadians, but we're not going to talk about TV networks in Canada for the simple reason that what it is essentially 5 or 6 new Canadian shows and then American shows being placed around that schedule. It's not really helpful to talk about it that way.
The only difference is we get Canadian commercials instead of American ones.
I know, which is very frustrating when you're watching the Super Bowl.
Yes. Damn you, Global.
I know. And they put the global sign on the corner right over the Fox sign too. It's like, who are you fooling?
I know. It's like when they had the Simpsons opening with the clouds, and they had like a little on Global below it. You're like, no, Simpsons were not made by Global. Stop fooling Stop kidding yourself.
Oh, I remember when Global used to do that for every show. That was so pathetic.
Yeah.
They stopped doing that, thankfully.
Yeah, thank you.
So, we're gonna do it day by day, essentially. So today we're doing Monday.
Yeah.
But first, we're going to start with something we like to call a hole, if anyone's familiar with that.
Cool.
Used to be a Bell's bondsman.
All those Bell's bondsmen, they all have like interesting jobs afterwards. It's insane.
Anywho, let's talk about the Monday schedule.
All right.
We're going to go network by network, and we're going to start with ABC at 8 o'clock all the way to 10 with Dancing with the Stars, reaching its 13th season.
I can't believe that.
13 seasons of mediocre dancing, I know.
And mediocre stars.
Yeah, I know. Dancing with the Stars is sort of like there's the word fading missing in there.
Indeed. It was funny. The first few seasons, they had like horrible like B-lister stars, or even C or D-lister stars. But then you had actually like certain stars that were still had shows on TV that, hey, I want to dance. So, the 3 or 4 seasons, they had actually...
Show and tell, where we recommend something, and of course, this being our TV week, we're going to recommend some TV shows for you to catch up on or just catch.
Yeah. Mine is a canceled TV show. It was very good. It lasted half a season, but you can find more episodes on DVD. Firefly, written by Josh Whedon. It's pretty much people on spaceship. They're trying to survive and make money. They're kind of criminals. They're cowboys in space, post-Civil War mercenaries. Exactly. Yes. So it's set in the future, but it's not like phasers and stuff like that. They still use normal guns. Their ship are rickety. They're not like the whole Star Trek things. You barely. How do these things work? They're so rickety. It's really good, and I really enjoyed it. The writing is great, and Nate Fillion is